In the year 1900, as Arthur Conan Doyle returned from South Africa, fate led him to forge a friendship with British journalist and writer Bertram Fletcher Robinson, then a correspondent of the Daily Express. Robinson shared with Doyle several intriguing tales, one of which they decided to develop together. The whole plot was set in the ancestral home of Robinson, Dartmoor, that granite plateau nestled in the southwestern reaches of England within the county of Devonshire. And the story itself was inspired by one of the Norfolk legends involving ghostly hounds. In their conversations, Robinson recalled the countless sightings of a coal-black canine with fiery eyes that haunted Dartmoor. Records said that many people there indeed had seen a coal-black dog with fiery eyes. Denying its existence was like heresy to locals, yet surprisingly, no author had written about it yet. As soon as Robinson discussed the idea with Doyle, they were hooked.
I have here the statement of a certain legend which runs in the Baskerville family.
Baskerville?
So, what was that eerie legend all about? Once upon a time, in the hauntingly beautiful wilderness of Dartmoor, where ancient secrets lurk in every corner, there roamed a spectral phenomenon that sent shivers down the spines of those who dared to venture into the desolate moors. The tale of the ghost dogs had been passed down through generations, whispered around the hearts of cozy cottages, and recounted in hushed tones at the local taverns. Legend had it that these spectral hounds were harbingers of doom, appearing only on the darkest and stormiest of nights. Their arrival was said to foretell tragic events or the imminent passing of a soul. This particular notion reminded me of the famous Grim, a giant spectral dog that haunts churchyards and the worst omen of death, according to Harry Potter's divination teacher, Professor Trelawney. Witnesses described the creatures as large, shadowy figures with gleaming eyes that glowed like burning coals in the pitch-black darkness. Some claimed the dogs had hellish, fearsome appearance, while others spoke of them as mournful, soulful beings that seemed to carry the weight of 1,000 sorrows upon their spectral forms.
Well, this may appeal to your lurid taste in fiction, Watson.
It was believed that encountering one of these ghostly apparitions would bring misfortune upon the unfortunate observer. Tales abounded of travelers who stumbled upon the phantom dogs during their nocturnal journeys across the treacherous moorland. Stricken with terror, they would watch the apparitions draw near, while their ethereal forms seemed to be unaffected by the harsh winds and unforgiving terrain.
Several people have seen a creature upon the moor, a huge creature, ghastly, spectral. I've cross-examined two of them, hard-headed countrymen both, and their stories tally.
Witnesses recounted feeling an icy chill in the air as the phantoms passed by, as if the very essence of death itself brushed against their souls.
One companion died that very night of what he saw, and the other twain were broken men for the rest of their days.
As the years passed, superstitions took hold, and the locals truly believed in the power of these ghostly beings. For them it was an undeniable dire omen. Simply put, if you cross paths with this ghostly hound, misfortune is sure to follow. So, even today, when the mist hangs heavy over the moors and the wind whispers ancient secrets, the legend of the ghost dogs lives on. The roots of this tale are deeply intertwined with English folklore and mythology. In fact, it spans way beyond British Isles. Similar spectral tales can be found in various cultures across the world. But in the context of Dartmoor, the legend likely draws inspiration from the combination of historical events, local beliefs, and storytelling traditions. One possible real-life basis for the legend is the presence of large black dogs or black-coated breeds in the region, such as black mastiffs, black sheepdogs, or even large black wolves that might have once roamed the area. Encounters with these animals in the eerie moorland conditions could easily have been misinterpreted or embellished, giving rise to the ghostly dog tales.
Then you yourself are inclining towards a supernatural explanation.
You know, despite being a huge animal lover myself, I'm very much afraid of dogs. But don't tell them, I'm already afraid that they smell my fear. Well, not so long ago I went for a walk in the picturesque forest path in Andorra. It's a tiny country stuck in the middle of Pyrenees mountains. I went there for short holidays. Anyway, you know what? Lucky me. No, I bumped into a huge white dog, also promenading all alone by itself there. So the moment the dog sees me, it puts on pace and starts sniffing around me in search of some food or I don't know what. I thought probably that's the end. At least I was petrified. Well, long story short, I survived, yet now I'm telling this legend of my meeting with Great White Pyrenees and my magical survival to everyone around, you now including. A real indigenous Pyrenean mountain dog, by the way. So I can easily imagine a horror that a huge black hound may instill in some lonely roamer in foggy moors.
Go back! Go straight to London instantly! For God's sake, do what I ask. Go back and never set foot on the moor again.
Additionally, the legend might have been influenced by ancient Celtic and Anglo-Saxon beliefs in supernatural beings and mythical creatures. The Celts, in particular, had a rich traditions of associating dogs with the other world and the afterlife. They believed that certain dogs served as guardians and guides between the worlds of the living and the dead. This reminds me of Anubis from ancient Egypt religion, a man with a canine head, the god of funerary rites, protector of graves, and guide to the underworld. So you see, the idea of spectral dog being an omen of death or bad luck is also a common theme in various cultures. However, the actual existence of spectral hounds haunting Dartmoor is a matter of folklore and superstitions rather than concrete evidence.
It's a fairy tale, sir.
Well, of course, Mr. Holmes. But fairy tales would not survive without a kernel of truth, huh?
Let's get back to our writer pals, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle and Bertram Fletcher Robinson. The title of their future opus emerged with a flash of inspiration, and soon Doyle wrote to his mother stating that he and Robinson are going to do a small book together, The Hound of the Baskervilles, a real creeper. Thanks to the suggestion of Robinson, the story was based on a local Dartmoor variation of ghost hound legend centered around the personality of evil 17th century squire Richard Cabell. He eventually became the inspiration for Doyle's character of Jake Stapleton, who hides his vicious dog on the moor. Not surprisingly, that when he died, locals were petrified that his spirit would escape and buried him in a coffin sealed with a thick slate lid and enclosed it in a special tomb. Not sure if that actually helped or not, yet the legend goes on and says that the night he was buried, a spectral group of hounds arrived, loudly expressing their sorrow near his burial site. From that moment onward, he would often be seen guiding the ghostly pack across the moor, typically on the anniversary of his passing. When the pack wasn't engaged in hunting, they could be found lingering around his grave, emitting mournful and eerie sounds. In the book, Holmes suspects that Stapleton used phosphorus to give the hound its eerie glow. Actually, I have a whole video about that effect, so don't miss it after watching this video. Curiously, today, tourists often stumble across similarly fluorescent beasts, but way less scary glow-in-the-dark ponies that were painted with reflective paint to make them more visible to drivers overnight. Doyle realized that he had no need to create a protagonist for the tale, as Sherlock Holmes was already at his disposal. Consequently, the remuneration doubled, and Doyle and Robertson divide it in the ratio of 3-to-1. This way, Robinson reportedly received somewhat over £500. Well, if that doesn't impress you much, note that it would be worth over £80,000 or over $100,000 today. After roughly a month, Doyle dispatched the first 2 chapters to the Strand magazine. Then Robinson ventured to Dartmoor, seeking the assistance of a local vicar in gathering pertinent materials.
You'll come yourself?
I have to stay in London. A blackmail case. I recommend my friend Watson.
That's very kind of you, Doctor.
His co-author Doyle soon joined him there. One of the most interesting weeks that I ever spent was with Doyle on Dartmoor, Robinson recalled in 1905. He made the journey in my company shortly after I told him, and he had accepted from me a plot which eventuated in the Hound of the Baskervilles. Dartmoor, the great wilderness of bog and rock that cuts Devonshire at this point, appealed to his imagination. He listened eagerly to my stories of ghost hounds, of the headless riders, and of the devils that lurk in the hollows, legends upon which I have been reared, for my home lay on the borders of the moor. How well he turned to account his impressions will be remembered by all readers of The Hound. This way, The Hound of the Baskervilles was first conceived as a Victorian ghost story, and then gradually shifted in style and subject to 20th century supernatural horror. Oh yes, I remember being just afraid of the title itself, The Hound of Baskerville, when I was a kid, of course. So yeah, well done, a real creeper it was indeed.
There is a realm in which the most accomplished detective is helpless. There are certain things here which are impossible to reconcile to the settled order of nature.
Yes, well, if you believe this to be supernatural, you'll find more help from a priest.
And do you believe in ghost dogs? Alright, we're at least somewhat afraid of meeting one while reading this famous novel. Share your creepy stories in the comments. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to put a thumb up button if you liked it, and yes, hope to see you in my other videos. Bye!